Yingyang covered her mouth and laughed. I was visiting my mother's grave and didn't realize it was so late. Pei Hang looked apologetic and bowed. I spoke without thinking. Please forgive me for the offense to your mother. Yingyang's pale face broke into a meaningful smile. Sure doesn't need to apologize. This mother is not my birth mother. Pei Hang said. Oh. Yingyang smiled again and said, to be honest, Yingyang is not a virtuous woman. She paused, looking at Pei Hang, and said with a seductive gaze, Zhu Man from the Bai family is a colleague, and Su Xiao from Qiantang is my predecessor. Yingyang is a fallen woman in the world of pleasures, entertaining guests. Pei Hang understood and asked, may I ask where Miss is staying? Yingyang smiled. I won't embarrass her by telling you. A year ago, my mother died of illness. Now it's just me and my maid, barely making a living with a few regular customers. This is a remote and impoverished place with not many customers. Fortunately, the owner of the Yunlian in the town has been very kind to us. He rented a room in the building across from the inn for Yingyang and me to stay. A smile appeared on Pei Hang's face. They were staying in the building across from the inn. His hunch was correct. He smiled and said in a low voice, may I visit you tonight? Yingyang looked Pei Hang up and down but didn't answer. Instead, she softly said, a gentleman like Sir must have come to Zulu town with another purpose. May I ask what it is? Pei Hang continued smiling, but his smile was sinister. I'm looking for someone. Yingyang asked, how many people is Sir looking for? Pei Hang replied, not many, 11. Yingyang smiled, has Sir found them? Pei Hang shook his head, no, not a single one. Yingyang glanced at him sideways, why is Sir looking for these people? Pei Hang looked into the distance and smiled, to send them to a place. Yingyang clapped her hands and laughed. I see. Sir is a constable, here to catch criminals. Recently, many suspicious people have come to the town, scaring everyone. My business has suffered a lot. It would be great if Sir could catch them all and take them away. Pei Hang shook his head, looking at her face with a half-smile. Miss guessed wrong. I only kill, I don't capture. Pei Hang watched Yingyang's expression carefully, but she seemed not to hear him. She looked up at the sky and lightly whipped the black donkey, urging it forward. It's getting late. I must go now, Yingyang. She looked at Pei Hang again, covered her mouth, and laughed. After Sir finds all the people, come find me. Before Pei Hang could respond, the sound of the donkey's hooves echoed in the drizzling rain as it trotted away. The smile on Pei Hang's face gradually turned cold. He had waited here for 7 days, and it seemed that it was not in vain. Just as their figures disappeared into the twilight, the woman, clad in gaudy red and green, reined in her green donkey, turned back a face as white as paper, and gave him a seductive smile. That strange and enchanting aura immediately rushed towards him again. Pei Hang realized that this was the scent of death. It was incredibly eerie, yet incredibly captivating. The legend of Pei Hang. One sip of nectar stirs 100 emotions. After pounding the elixir, I meet Yingyang. The Blue Bridge is itself a celestial abode. Why climb arduously to the Jade Pure Realm? During the Chongqing reign of the Tang dynasty, there was a failed scholar named Pei Hang who wandered and studied until he reached the Blue Bridge post. Feeling thirsty, he asked an old woman spinning hemp in a nearby hut for some water. Seeing that Pei Hang was a scholar, the old woman asked her granddaughter Yingyang to bring him water. Upon seeing Yingyang, Pei Hang was immediately stunned. How beautiful she was! The red orchids in the deep valley could not compare to her fragrance and beauty, nor could the jade of blue field describe her radiance. Love at first sight, Pei Hang proposed marriage to the old woman. She, thinking Pei Hang was a gentleman, agreed to the match but asked for a white jade pestle and mortar as a betrothal gift, as she had a pill of immortal medicine that needed to be pounded with the jade pestle and mortar before it could be consumed, allowing one to become an immortal. Pei Hang eagerly agreed and, after setting a 100-day deadline with the old woman, set off to search for the white jade pestle and mortar. After searching for several months, Pei Hang finally found the pestle and mortar from an old jade seller. He spent all his money, even selling his horse and servants, and had to carry the pestle and mortar on foot back to the Blue Bridge post. The old woman was delighted to see Pei Hang and brought out the immortal medicine, asking him to help with the pounding. Pei Hang pounded the medicine during the day and rested at night, but the sound of pounding continued through the night. It turned out that a jade rabbit was helping Pei Hang pound the medicine. The glow from the jade rabbit, combined with the fragrance emitted by the immortal medicine, filled the entire room, creating a celestial atmosphere. Pei Hang's determination grew stronger, and after 100 days, the medicine was finally pounded. Pei Hang and Yingyang also became a celestial couple and ascended to the realm of the immortals.